Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so sorry. I forgot to do dividing. I guess I was just ready to go. Please forgive me. Okay, very quickly, we're going to get dividing inequalities. So, doing dividing inequalities. So, again, it says, very important, when dividing by a negative number, we're going to flip or reverse the inequality symbol. So, please keep that in mind. So, just like in our last video for parts 2, when multiplying by a negative number, you're going to flip the symbol. It's the same for dividing, because remember, multiplying and dividing are inverse operations. So you should basically be doing the same thing. Okay, let's go. We got 3x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So therefore, since we see that this is a multiplication problem, remember we solved just like it's an equation. So we're going to do its inverse, which is divide. So step 1 is to divide both sides by 3. So we're going to do the same thing that we've always done and divide both sides by 3. So therefore, my 3's are going to cancel, which is going to leave me with x is greater than or equal to negative 9. Okay, let's graph. We know negative 9 goes in the center. This would be negative 8. This would be negative 7. That would be negative 10. This will be negative 11. So we need a circle at negative 9. It's going to the right. And since it has the equal to part, we need to fill that circle in. Bam. There's your first example. Okay, now, in the next part, over here to the right, we have negative 5z is greater than or equal to 30. So notice we've got a negative over here, so that should automatically tell you right there. We're going to have to divide to solve, and we're going to have to divide by this negative number. So remember, it says when dividing by a negative number, flip that symbol. So what we're going to have to do first is divide both sides by negative 5. So that means you know that step 2 should be flip the symbol, since we put negative there. Alright, there we go. Okay, so since we're solving this like it's an equation, remember we do inverses, so we're dividing both sides by negative 5. I know you haven't forgot our saying, which is whatever you do to one side, oh, y'all got it. You filled it in for me. Smart babies, smart babies. So z is less than or equal to negative 6. So let's graph. Negative 6 in the middle, negative 5, negative 4 here, negative 7, negative 8 here. So we need a circle at negative 6. It's going to the left, and it should be closed. So that means if I was to plug in negative 7 or negative 8 or negative 9 or even negative 6 itself, then my inequality should be true. But if I put anything else over here, not going to be true. All right, got your understanding check? Do these 3 problems. We'll check in class. Don't forget, in this problem with the decimal, you got to make sure your divisor is a whole number before you divide. Keep that in mind. You're probably going to need a separate sheet of paper to show your work for this problem. Okay, we got an application problem. Remember, application means word problem. And in word problems, we always do what first? Y'all are catching on. That's right, we cube. So therefore, I want to break this problem down. So I'm going to read part by part, and I'm going to cube as I go along. So it first says A troop of Girl Scouts votes to give 25 cents to a homeless shelter. Use normal paper shuffling. So, I'm sorry, for each box of cookies they sell. So, circle numbers with labels, 25 cents. And I like to hold that decimal place, that whole number place with a zero. It says that they're going to give that for each. Remember, each in our problem usually means we're going to multiply. So since it says for each box, that means box 1 is going to be 25 cents, box 2, 25 cents, and so on and so on. So since we're going to have more than one box, repeated addition is the same as multiplication. So somewhere we should be looking for a number of boxes. And remember, if we don't have a number of boxes to put up here, then that means that number of boxes that we're trying to find is going to be our variable. So let's read further. It says, how many boxes of cookies do they need to sell to reach or exceed their goal of $120? There's a number. Now, since it asks how many boxes, then that means that there's our variable right there. So since it's boxes, let's just use B. So that means B equals the number of boxes. Now we've got some other keywords in here. It says reach or exceed. So if I reach my goal, doesn't that mean I'm going to equal my goal? But if I exceed my goal, doesn't that mean I'm going to go beyond my goal or to more than? So therefore, when I put that together, I should have a greater than or equal to, and the number that follows is 120. So I should have that in my problem. Okay, now it says 25 cents for each box, and since we don't know how many boxes, remember we're using B for box. So it's already right there, 25 cents times B. So therefore, we should have 25 cents. And since we know that we showed multiplication by just putting a number right beside the variable, we're going to write it like that. And that is greater than or equal to 120. So now we're going to solve. So remember, to solve, I need to isolate my variables. So that means I need to divide both sides by 25 hundredths. So those cancel, leaving me with B is greater than or equal to, because I didn't divide by a negative. Now I got to come over here and work this out. Remember, this is 120 divided by 25 hundredths. So remember, this was your dividend, and your dividend goes inside. This is your divisor, which goes outside. So remember, the number on the outside, which is your divisor, cannot be a decimal. So remember the lesson that we did on decimal operations says move your decimal point to the right 2 times to make it a whole number. Whatever we do to our divisor, we do the same thing to our dividend. So that means we're going to have to place a decimal point and move it 2 times to the right. So that's actually 12000, which is 12,000 divided by 25. So now when I divide 25 into 12,000, I know that 25 goes into 120 first, and it's going to go 4 times. 4 times that is 100. Subtract, we get 20. Bring down another 0. 4 goes into 200 8 times, and it goes evenly. Now, we shouldn't have 48 because I still have a number here to bring down. That's where a lot of you mess up. Remember, anything under that quotient symbol, under that bracket, you've got to bring it down. So we still got to try to see how many times 25 going to go into 0. It's not. So a 0 needs to be there. So actually, your solution is 480. So B is greater than or equal to 480 boxes. Remember, write your questions, post on the parking lot. See you Monday. I gotta go. Bye bye.